Part 5. Price depreciation, green tea girlfriend begs for forgiveness. Author, Light and Agile. Chapter 41. At this time, only Li Yan, Su Xinran, and Chen Xianlin were left in the private room. The show is over. Looking at the time again, it's almost time for lunch. It just so happened that the waiter stepped forward and asked if he needed to order food now. Li Yi said that he did not need it. It's not that this restaurant is more collapsed. But through Yaqingju's toss with Zhang Xiajia, even if it is a high-end restaurant, there is no need to be interested in staying here. Not to mention that eating is such an important event. I must find a comfortable place. Xianlin, our brothers may not have sat together and chatted for a long time. Let's go, let's find a place to eat and catch up casually. In the same way, Xinran, you can recommend where to eat? Su Xinran's excited music blossomed. Li Yi and his brother reminisced, can you bring yourself? And Li Yi actually called himself so intimately again. Cut, what is it that Zhang Xiajia touched Li Yan's hand? What is there to envy, he is the happiest person. Later, Su Xinran arranged for a driver to take them to the next restaurant. Ferrari supercar on luxury cars. In the past, Su Xinran and Li Yan sat together in the back seat. But because there were 3 people traveling with her this time, Su Xinran, as the only woman, sat in the co-pilot's seat. Li Yong and Chen Xianlin sat in the back row. After getting into the car, Chen Xianlin was particularly careful to sit on the Ferrari luxury car and did not dare to move. I'm afraid that I will accidentally bump this Ferrari luxury car into it for a while. Then I really can't afford to lose my life. At this moment, he really understands what it means to sit on thousands. Sitting on a luxury car chair, this is called sitting on 1,000 times. I didn't expect that I would have this blessing in this life, it's worth it. Lao Li, you were too domineering just now. Today is just a small scene, you haven't seen Li Yan more domineering. It can be said that one person is directly banned in the entire industry. Damn, so you're really a god. Not necessarily, maybe the richest man in the world, ha ha ha. Li Yi, ha ha ha. The 3 of them chatted happily in the Ferrari. However, what Su Xinran said just now is quite right. Li Yan is indeed the richest man in the world, and he is a person who is far more than the richest man before. But this matter is only known to Li Yan himself. Because he knows best how much he has in savings, plus the list of the world's richest people he accidentally saw on his phone last time. Amid the laughter of the trio, the Ferrari finally arrived in another restaurant. The 3 of them entered the restaurant and began to order. Li Yan asked the waiter to bring 2 menus. Handed it to Su Xinran and Chen Xianlin respectively. Su Xinran looked at the menu carefully and ordered several dishes that Li Yan loved to eat. On the other side, Chen Xianlin just looked at the menu in his hand stupidly, and he didn't order a dish for a long time. After Su Xinran ordered the food, she closed the menu book and handed it to the waiter standing aside. Set his sights on Li Yong. The dishes I ordered just now are all Li Yan's favorite food. He must have thought he was doing a good job. Su Xinran propped her arms on the dining table, and wrapped her little face in her palm. How about it, Li Yan, I'm doing a good job. Isn't it very good? Looked at Li Yan with anticipation and said mischievously. Like a child who has scored 100 points in the test, waiting to be praised. Seeing that Li Yan did not reply to himself, but looked at Chen Xianlin on the side. Then he turned his gaze to Chen Xianlin. What's the matter, Xianlin, isn't it appetizing? Why don't we change it? Li Yan saw that Chen Xianlin was a little hesitant when he looked at the menu, so he asked. Chen Xianlin, who was still in a daze, heard Li Yi calling himself, and suddenly came back to his senses. Oh, no Lao Li, I just see the price of each dish on it. Isn't it too expensive? Chen Xianlin looked at the prices on the menu, which really surprised his people with a monthly salary of only a few cents. The cheapest dish of cold cucumber costs 0.12 I 1/4 Y. A plate of cucumbers costs a day's wages. It's not eating, it's robbing. Don't worry, I'm a god, do I still need this little money? Li Yi said to Chen Xianlin with a hippie smile. Chen Xianlin, ha ha ha, too, my good brother is a god. Only then did I carefully pick up the menu and order. After the three of them finished dinner, it meant that it was time to part ways. Li Yin said goodbye to Chen Xianlin. Chen Xianlin also reluctantly said goodbye to him. Because I don't know when the next meeting will be. After Su Xinran and the driver sent Li Yi home, they also returned to their own. Li Yan returned to the villa with a sea view. Seeing the clean and tidy house, I couldn't help but sigh that Su Xinran really did a great job. I just don't know if my bedroom will be cleaned and arranged as I think. Li Yan walked to the door with anticipation and opened the door of his bedroom. At this moment, he just wanted Su Xinran to appear in front of him immediately. Must praise her fiercely. Dragon Boat Festival book discount, charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. To rush immediately, event period, June 22nd to June 24th. Price depreciation, green tea girlfriend begs for forgiveness. Author, Light and Agile. Chapter 42. Li Yan picked up his mobile phone and began to call Su Xinran. Once the call is connected. Hey, what's wrong? You've just been separated for a while, and you're starting to miss me. Speaking of this, Su Xinran began to giggle. Hearing this, Li Yan was a little helpless. This girl is really good at flirting after getting along for a long time. But when I saw that most of my bedroom was full of pink decorations, I instantly felt that she had some serious illness. Boy, the general style of the bedroom is decorated in pink. Which real man can stand this? My bedroom. Are you sure it's set up for me to rest? Su Xinran's giggles were several times louder than before. Like a crazy old woman. Boys can also be pink and tender, and besides, if you lie down and try it, maybe you will like it in the future, ha 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 ha. In the face of Su Xinran's teasing, Li Yan almost vomited blood without anger. Gritted his teeth, then took a deep breath, and it was rare to deal with her. And is she the only one who can flirt? With a wicked smile on his face, he then pointed the mobile phone talking hole to his mouth. Said softly. The pink bedroom is really good looking, but without you, I can't like the best bedroom. After listening to Li Yi's words, Su Xinran's ears suddenly crisped. Both cheeks are like blushing. It's just that this blush is a little too violent. More noticeable than the usual blush color. The sound enters the ears and spreads to the head, hands, legs, and every cell in the body. Then a trace of warmth instantly poured into the whole body. Obviously it was a cloudy day, it should be quite cool. Why do you feel so hot? Damn, this feeling, Su Xinran said that it was the first time to feel it. I thought I was sultry enough. I didn't expect this Li Yan to provoke people and be directly not human. Straight numb. Seeing that Su Xinran was on the other end of the phone and couldn't spit out a word, Li Yin said that he was relieved. Then the roles were reversed. He started laughing. Su Xinran was so happy to hear Li Yan laughing, and she also showed a sweet smile on her red and hot little face. This is the first time she has heard Li Yin laugh so happily since she and Li Yi have been together for so long. Usually, except for sneering, it is a smile. Looking at it this way, he is the biggest hero. So this pink bedroom decoration style seems to be right. All right, I'll come over tomorrow and get it for you again. Su Xinran slowed down for a while before saying this. In the few minutes before this, she was teased by Li Yong, so that she really didn't know what to say. Even now, I really can't think of anything else. That's all I can say, and then change the subject. She admitted that she really couldn't flirt with Li Yin. Let's throw up our hands and surrender. After saying that, the two hung up the phone after saying good night to each other and fell asleep. Early the next morning, Susan Ran, who had just gotten up, encountered a very tricky thing. That's a girl she knew when she used to study abroad and suddenly sent a message today. Hello, it's been a long time, I've come to your city, meet me. People who haven't been in contact with it once in a year suddenly send a message today. Susan Ran knew very well that the other party must not be good this time. The girl who sent the message was a female student in the same class she met when her family sent Susan Ran to study abroad. Her name is Nanovich, and she is a foreign girl. When she was studying abroad, Nanovich was particularly jealous of Susan Ran. Because Susan Ran can change into a set of different brands of clothes, bags, and jewelry every day. Nanovich's family is also considered a wealthy family abroad. But compared with Susan Ran, a foreign student, she can't change different brands of clothes and jewelry every day like Susan Ran. Use high-end atmospheric and high-grade skincare products. It's very simple, because it can't compare to Susan Ran. In addition, Susan Ran is the designated goddess of many boys in the school. For this reason, she was even more unconvinced. The comparison between Nanovich and Susan Ran is not much different, it can be said that the two are comparable. But at school, Nanovich's popularity is not as high as Susan Ran's. As a result, Nanovich regarded Susan Ran as an opponent and liked to compare everything with Susan Ran. But if there is one thing that can compare to Susan Ran, even if it is a rare flower and grass, as long as Susan Ran doesn't have it, she has to show it off vigorously. Therefore, Susan Ran could clearly feel that Nanovich flew all the way to his city this time. That must have caught something very worthy of her bragging about. And he also took a special shot, and he definitely didn't have it. I just don't know what Nanovich is going to show off to himself this time. It's really a good sentence. The weasel must have no good intentions when he greets the chickens. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Price depreciation, Green Tea Girlfriend begs for forgiveness. Author, Light and Agile. Chapter 43. Susan Ran felt a little speechless. There are many girls in this world who are better than herself. I love to find someone else. Why does Nanovich have to hold on to himself and refuse to give up? But when I thought about it, no matter how Nanovich flew from far away. The ancients. It's a pleasure to have friends from afar. Let's not talk about whether Gao is happy or not, and you can't avoid it out of politeness. This is what her upbringing told her. And hiding from it is like being afraid of others. She's not a timid person. So Susan Ran decided to go out to meet and just fool around. When you pick up your phone again and prepare to reply. Another message from Nanovich. Introduce you to someone, my boyfriend. Seeing this, Susan Ran realized that she flew all the way over to show off her boyfriend. What a big speechlessness. Is it so idle? What is there to show off for a boyfriend? But it's true that I don't have it. Susan Ran felt a little distressed. If you go to the appointment alone, you can't be made fun of. She is the daughter of a rich family. If you are not poor, you can only eat dog food. It's time like this, and I can only hold on to it temporarily. But who can you find to be your boyfriend now? According to Susan Ran, a girl who is excellent in all aspects. She is not a bad pursuer, but she was rejected by Susan Ran one by one. So now there is simply no one who can be found to be her boyfriend. Although she can now post a circle of friends casually, and then there will be many boys who volunteer to go to the soup for her. But Susan Ran didn't want to do that. She had no interest in those who coveted her beauty or her money, her family, and so on. Even having a boyfriend who makes them pretend to be there one day is disgusting. Just when Susan Ran was still crazy about this, Li Yan sent a message. Miss Su, what about readjusting the bedroom for me today? I have to say, God is really helping himself. I'm worried that I can't find the right person. Isn't that what happened? That's right, it's Li Yi. Nanovic just wants to show off to herself how good and handsome her boyfriend is. If Li Yin is willing to help himself with this, then what is it like? No matter what aspect, Li Yin must be slightly better in all aspects. But the key question is, will Li Yi be willing to be his boyfriend for a day? This is a tricky question indeed. Su Xinran picked up her phone and replied quickly. Okay, young Master Li, I'll be there soon. After replying to Li Yan's message, Su Xinran began to dress up carefully. After a while, I will help Li Yi redeploy the bedroom. I have to go to Nanovic's appointment. And if Li Yan is willing to help him for a while, Li Yan doesn't need to dress up at all, just sitting there is a beautiful scenery. So I have to dress up beautifully, and I can't lose to Nanovic. It is bound to suppress the audience together with Li Yin. Soon Su Xinran packed up and went to the East Ring Villa area. Came to the gate of Li Yan's Seaview Villa. Looking at the inside of Li Yan's villa from outside the gate, it was still as quiet as ever. Su Xinran shuddered. What kind of cleaning ants, janitors, and environmental protection personnel who prune flowers and plants? There is none of them in Li Yin's huge villa. Later, Su Xinran asked the driver to arrange a group of reliable people to come over and give Li Yan as a housekeeper in the future. And Su Xinran still has a careful thought at this time. That is to please Li Yan first, and it can be regarded as a foreshadowing for himself to let him act as a fake boyfriend for a day. However, what Su Xinran didn't know was, Li Yan is not unrecruiting. It's because of mistrust. His current worth cannot be underestimated. If you casually recruit some chaotic people in, you are afraid that you will become a thorn in the side of those with evil intentions. It's not like Li Yan thinks much about it. There are many ill-intentioned people in this world. When jealousy reaches a point that ordinary people can't bear by themselves, then it also means that they will do something unimaginable to ordinary people. Ding dong. Li Yan opened the door. I see that your villa is very deserted, and it is so big, it is not convenient to clean it usually, so I found you a few reliable families. It's good to come up and clean you every day. Isn't that really impressive? Su Xinran said excitedly. However, Li Yi's gaze at Su Xinran at this time was just stupid. In his opinion, today's Su Xinran is more charming than usual. Wearing a lilac white gauze dress, simple and elegant, charming and graceful, the elegant jade face is often painted with light plum blossom makeup. The original clear and beautiful face faded because she had become a woman, and the immature youth showed a trace of charm, seducing the soul. It wasn't until Su Xinran shook her hand in front of his eyes that he came back to his senses. Then he replied. Not bad, but not too much. He still believes in Su Xinran's efficiency. The people she was looking for were definitely much better than the people she was looking for. After the two of them entered the villa room with a sea view, Su Xinran did not immediately bring up the matter of pretending to be a boyfriend. Instead, he went to redeploy Li Yan's bedroom first. Dragon Boat Festival book discount, charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. To rush immediately, event period, June 22nd to June 24th. Price depreciation, green tea girlfriend begs for forgiveness. Author, Light and Agile. Chapter 44. After a while, Su Xinran had already rearranged Li Yan's bedroom. He walked out of the bedroom and wiped the sweat from his forehead. Li Yan poured a glass of water and handed it to Su Xinran, and then said, Good work. It's not hard, it's hard. Maybe because of the relationship with Li Yan for a long time, Su Xinran is now very naughty. Regarding Su Xinran's answer, Li Yi was a little speechless. Obviously, she first decorated the bedroom of one of her older boys in pink. Why is it still beating up now? Obviously, it is the people who should say that their lives are miserable, and they should be themselves. Li Yan walked into the bedroom. This one-of-a-kind copyright COR looks luxurious but not vulgar. So he nodded with satisfaction. At this time, Susan Ran was making a nervous split on the sofa. All I was thinking about was how to tell Li Yan about pretending to be her boyfriend for a day. Li Yan happily walked out of the bedroom, just in time to see Susan Ran, who was worrying on the sofa. So he stepped forward and sat opposite Susan Ran, and then said, "What's the matter? There's something on my mind." Susan Ran, who was still nervous, was suddenly startled like a child who had done something bad after hearing Li Yan's voice. It causes the heart to beat at once. There was nowhere to put the little hands that were in a hurry. In the end, the pink little hand grabbed the cushion in the corner of the sofa so hard that it couldn't be done, and I didn't know how to say it nervously. But seeing that the time agreed with Nanovic was about to come. If you don't say anything, it's too late. After a moment's hesitation, he let go of the couch cushion he was holding, and then took a deep breath. Put your hands on your lap and reply hesitantly. I think. You. Forget it, nothing. As soon as it came to her mouth, Susan Ran still couldn't say it. Compared with the difficult thing that Li Yan said to let him pretend to be his boyfriend for a day, she suddenly felt that it was much easier for her to face Nanovic alone. The big deal is to be fed dog food and then teased by Nanovic for a while. And if this kind of thing is said, if Li Yan refuses, the atmosphere will be even more embarrassing. I don't even know how it will end when the time comes. Although she had been cheering herself on repeatedly when she came, I was also mentally prepared. But when it really came to this time, she still couldn't speak. Li Yan felt a little strange when he saw Susan Ran so abnormal. What the hell is going on? Is it so hard to talk about? This feeling of not talking about it in the middle of the sentence is really a headache. It's inevitable that it's too appetizing. You say, it's over in the middle of the sentence, what is that? Li Yan looked at Susan Ran suspiciously and said. This atmosphere made him anxious at the moment. Seeing that Li Yan's face was obviously a little unsightly, Susan Ran became even more flustered. So he gritted his teeth, twisted his head to the side, turned his back to Li Yan, clenched his fists, and then mustered up his courage. His eyes were tightly closed, and he replied with a bang. I want you to pretend to be my boyfriend for the day. After saying this, Susan Ran really wanted to escape from this place at the moment, at least a little away from Li Yan. She was eager to find a crack in the ground to get into. The incident itself is humiliating. It's all adult girls in their 20s, and it's all about the temporary scrambling for the exam. Now even a boyfriend has to find a temporary one. The key temporary ones are also forgotten, and I am still looking for Li Yi. This is a god-level character, would he be willing to sacrifice himself to do such a boring thing? Seeing that Li Yan didn't answer for a long time, Susan Ran just lowered her head and sighed silently. It also confirmed her psychological preparation before coming. Li Yan was not interested in such boring things at all. So naturally, I will not agree to such an unreasonable idea. But when she was about to give up this idea and prepare to go to the appointment alone, Li Yan responded to her. For this day alone, you have to charge a lot of money. Hearing Li Yan's words, Susan Ran couldn't believe her ears. Damn. Li Yan actually promised himself like this? She knew that the second half of Li Yan's sentence was to make fun of herself. And on the other hand, it is to add a little fun to this awkward atmosphere. None of that matters, though. The first half of the sentence is the most important to her. And the reason why Li Yan agreed to Susan Ran was because she did help herself a lot. There are even times when she doesn't need to say something herself, so she takes the initiative to do it for herself. And the final efficiency is very good. It's just a fake boyfriend for a day, and there will be no shortage of pounds or two. Just came forward, so he agreed to Susan Ran. At this time, Susan Ran was already standing happily on the sofa and jumped up happily. When Li Yan saw Susan Ran's stupid appearance, he couldn't help but raise the corners of his mouth. Susan Ran was a little overjoyed all of a sudden, not because she had a suitable fake male partner. It's because Li Yan actually agreed to be his boyfriend for a day. After bouncing on the couch for a while, I picked up my phone and looked at the time. There was still an hour before the time he and Nanovic had agreed. Damn, it's too late to act. Seeing that Susan Ran had already dressed up, Li Yan also began to get up and act. But when he came to the bedroom, he found that he didn't seem to have any formal clothes. So he asked Susan Ran to go to the appointment first, saying that he would go to buy clothes and be there in a while. Seeing that the time is too late, it can only be like this. Then Susan Ran went to the place agreed with Nanovic. First, Dragon Boat Festival book discount, charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. To rush immediately, event period, June 22nd to June 24th. Price depreciation, green tea girlfriend begs for forgiveness. Author, Light and Agile. Chapter 45. Landing Chinese and Western Restaurant. Susan Ran has arrived at her destination. I looked at the time again, and it was no more than the agreed time, just right. Yo, it's the same as when I was in college. The one who spoke was Nanovich. She wore a dark green suit with a cinched waist. The eyes are clear, the eyebrows are trimmed. And the nose is trimmed, and the cheeks are slightly pear-red. The complexion is very white, and the nose is slightly higher than that of ordinary women. There is a faint blue feeling of sea water in the eyes. At this time, she had just arrived for a while, and was asking at the front desk if there was a good private room. After seeing Susan Ran, he stepped forward and said in a weird manner, "Didn't you just arrive?" Susan Ran replied with a lazy expression. And she was a student who loved learning when she was in college, how could she step on it? The stepping point that Nanovic said was nothing more than because every time he entered the teaching building, Nanovic could bump into him. What is this called stepping point? Do you meet her every day just to step on the spot? Is it because you have a bad brain or you have nothing to do? If you want to say that, I'm afraid it wouldn't be for Nanovic to imitate herself, and then go to the morning reading at the same time as herself every day. Nanovic was stunned by Susan Ran's sentence, and subconsciously dodged the topic in embarrassment. Because Susan Ran is indeed right. Then Nanovic looked around Susan Ran and found that Susan Ran was actually alone. At this moment, my heart suddenly felt a lot more relaxed. This time, she brought her boyfriend. And this boyfriend of hers is not an ordinary person. Her boyfriend, like Susan Ran, is from the same city. And also a well-known local veteran. Nanovic met him by chance during a trip abroad. His name is Jo Jun. Jo Jun's family has been a soldier for generations. The family conditions are also quite good. And the person is also very handsome. The body is also very strong, what 8-pack abs, muscles are things that exist in him all the time. The boyfriend is full of power. So when I saw Susan Ran going to the meeting single-handedly, I couldn't help but be very happy. Yo, or alone. Cut, what's the use of looking good? I'm not single yet, ha 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 ha. I remember that there were quite a lot of people who pursued you at the beginning, but in the end, they found out that you weren't really that good, and then they gave up halfway. Nanovic sneered at Susan Ran. And that's what she expected. She had already guessed that Susan Ran would not have a boyfriend. Before she came, she also fantasized that even if Susan Ran had a boyfriend, it would be fine. Anyway, ordinary people really can't compare to her boyfriend's powerful military boyfriend. Now this fantasy does not exist, which means that she can show off her boyfriend Jo Jun with all her strength for a while. Let Susan Ran know that she is now a military wife. Life is quite happy. She can't compare. However, Susan Ran didn't want to compare with her at all, and she only came to the meeting out of politeness. As for asking Li Yi to cooperate with his fake boyfriend, he just didn't want to come out to eat their dog food, that's all. In the face of Nanovik's ridicule, Susan Ran only smiled and did not speak. It's good that she doesn't have a boyfriend, but she has a god-level friend. Although Li Yan is just acting as a fake boyfriend for himself for a day today, what if the fake is real? It's her Nanovich, not herself, who likes to compare so much, so this time Nanovich will be convinced. Subsequently, Jo-jun, who was buying water outside, returned. As soon as he stepped forward, he put his arms around Nanovik's waist. Then unscrew the water in his hand and feed it to Nanovich to drink. Nanovich glanced at Susan Ran and immediately changed back to the appearance of a little milk cat. Said to Jo-jun in a milky voice. Oops, what are you doing? My friend is here, but he is single, so don't feed the dog food. Come, Zinran, let me introduce you, this is my military boyfriend Jo-jun. Jo-jun, this is my female college classmate, Susan Ran. Saying that, Nanovich took Susan Ran's hand, and then introduced Jo-jun. This is true, which makes Susan Ran feel very disgusted. Zinran, it was the first time she had heard Nanovich call herself like this. When Nanovich called out these two words, Susan Ran thought that her young ears were not good. After Nanovich's introduction, Jo-jun also politely replied to Susan Ran, "Hello, my name is Jo-jun, it's a pleasure to meet you." Susan Ran also smiled and nodded. This week, the army didn't have the feeling of looking down on people. Is worthy of being a soldier, and the etiquette that should be there has not been left behind. But she felt a little strange. With a person like Nanovich, how did Jo-jun fall in love with her? Susan Ran looked at Nanovich, then at Jo-jun, and then shook his head. Sighed in my heart, sure enough, he is a great soldier, who is sacrificing himself all the time to eliminate harm for the people. Dragon Boat Festival book discount, charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. To rush immediately, event period, June 22nd to June 24th. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Price depreciation, Green Tea Girlfriend begs for forgiveness. Author, Light and Agile. Chapter 46. Because this landing Chinese and Western restaurant is too popular. Nanovich waited at the front desk for a while. The waiter stepped forward and said, "Hello, VIP, the only private room we have here was booked by a gentleman 2 minutes ago. You can choose from other private rooms that are more upscale." However, Nanovich was instantly furious when he heard the waiter's words. "I've been waiting in line here for a long time. At the beginning, I wanted to have a good private room. Now I tell myself that the best private room has been booked. Why? It's not that I can't afford to open money." Nanovich was a little speechless. Isn't this deliberately trying to make yourself look down upon in front of Susan Ran? Susan Ran, who made an appointment by herself, came out, but she ended up in a high-class private room. "How did you do it? I asked for it first, and now you're telling me it's been booked." Nanovich raised his brow and scolded the waiter fiercely. Jo-jun on the side saw it and pulled the corner of her clothes. "Forget it. It's the same in any private room, it's just a meal." But Nanovich is even hotter at the moment. Even Jo-jun didn't help himself speak. Isn't this a bit of an unreasonable mess? But this is obviously a problem with the waiter. The waiter only patiently explained with a smile in the face of Nanovich's scolding. "This lady, yes, we only have a good private room in the restaurant, but we don't pay attention to the principle of first come, first served. Rather, before the meal time in our restaurant, the highest price wins. So, 2 minutes ago, a gentleman had already booked this private room for a dime. If you are willing to pay more than this gentleman, we will also book this private room for you. Hearing this, Nanovic had a feeling. It seems that he is not even eating, but seems to have come to the auction. This waiter is too. Don't you see that Susan Ran is also here? Why do you say it in front of her? It's not to order it yourself now, and it's not to order it if you don't order it. If you don't order it, you will definitely be looked down upon by Susan Ran again. I can't even get a dime or more. But order it, although this dime will not have any impact on yourself, it is also a whole dime. It's enough to travel here for a while. Harm, what a brainless waiter. I don't have any eyesight at all. That's it, just today, in front of Susan Ran, I have to have enough face. After a moment of hesitation, Nanovich put on a very tall look and said to the waiter, "Isn't it just a dime? Okay. I'll pay 2 cents. Hurry up and take us to a good private room." After finishing speaking, he set his eyes on Susan Ran. "Show off your prestige." There was a smug look on his face. As if to say, "What, being rich is capricious." Susan Ran saw that her face was just disgusted, and then rolled her eyes. "I have to hesitate for a long time for 2 cents, what is there to be proud of? It's like I can't get these 2 cents out of it." Waiter, "Okay ma'am, I'll inform the gentleman just now." "Nanovic, it's a hassle to eat." Then the waiter looked a little strange after answering the phone. I saw that her hand that put down the phone was shaking. It was as if something terrible had happened, and I was in a daze. Seeing this, Nanovic's patience was also exhausted. Slap his hand the table in front of the waiter. Then he said extremely unpleasantly, Hey, what are you doing? The old lady's stomach is growling with hunger, do you still have the heart to be in a daze here? Why don't you take me to the best private room for dinner, what are you waiting for?" Nanovich was so loud and noisy that the waiter came back to his senses. He shook his head, then slapped himself again. "This special meow is not a dream, it is a real thing that happens to work in the store. Someone actually paid $1. Just to book a good private room. After going to work for so long, I originally thought that booking a good private room for a dime was already the most extravagant person. Unexpectedly, the most extravagant thing was to book a private room. For a whole $1. The waiter said that he couldn't figure it out. Seeing that Nanovich was so impatient, he replied, in a hurry, "I'm sorry, I was just scared and this gentleman didn't cancel the reservation. It's on top of your 2 cents, and he raises the price again." When Nanovic heard this, his heart suddenly felt strong. What kind of person is it, who dares to raise the price and compete with himself for this private room? It's really bad luck today. It's no wonder that I met Susan Ran. As soon as I met her, all the bad things came out. And this mysterious gentleman, is he so fond of raising prices? Then I'm going to show you what strength is today. Okay, then I'll give a dime soft girl coin. Nanovich looked at the waiter, the corners of his mouth raised, and his little feet were still slapping on the ground proudly. She has already gritted her teeth and pulled out a corner of the sky-high soft girl coin, thinking that the other party must not have the strength to continue to raise the price now. It's a pity that what she doesn't know is that the clown turned out to be herself in the end. Dragon Boat Festival book discount, charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. To rush immediately, event period, June 22nd to June 24th. Price depreciation, green tea girlfriend begs for forgiveness. Author, Light and Agile. Chapter 47. When the waiter heard Nanovic's offer, his little face was embarrassed and a little ugly. Of course, this embarrassment of hers was an embarrassment for Nanovich. What's wrong with? Again. This time Nanovic was not impatient. She felt that the waiter must have been stupefied by the sky-high price of the dime she paid for the soft girl coin. It's really a little girl who has never seen the world. That's what a dime of soft sister coins looks like. If she raised the price of 6 or 7 corners, wouldn't she have to faint on the spot? Then he revealed the bracelet worth a dime on his wrist. Pretended to be a little uncomfortable in his wrist, and then shook it from the waiter's eyes to Susan Rand's front and stopped. Hey, why is it so uncomfortable to wear a bracelet worth a dime of soft girl coins now? Then she lifted her hand and pulled the hair from her ear, revealing her emerald green gemstone earrings and continuing. And this emerald, but it cost me more than 2 dimes of soft sister coins, how can it be so uncomfortable to carry? Why do you say this? Sisters in ran. In the face of Nanovik's brainless show-off, Susan Rand did not make any answer. Just sighed and shook his head. Isn't it just a piece of jewelry with 2 corners? Is there anything to show off about this? Any accessory pendant on her body is several times more expensive than Nanovich's. Nanovich isn't going to stay in college, is he? At that time, the jewelry on his body was about the same price as what Nanovich wears now. Doesn't she know that people are constantly growing, and the economy is also increasing? It's really embarrassing to die, thinking that spending a dime to set a private room at a high price is the dragon and phoenix among people. At this time, the waiter stepped forward and replied embarrassedly. Ma'am, that gentleman's bid is. It's $1. When he said this, the waiter swallowed several mouthfuls of saliva, feeling pressured to say it. At the same time, he was embarrassed and ridiculous for Nanovik's arrogance. Nanovik, who was still arrogantly showing off to Susan Ran on the side, instantly froze with a smug smile on his face after hearing this. What? Then he turned to the waiter and asked in surprise. At this time, she had no face, and when she spoke, she was too surprised and sprayed the waiter's face with saliva. The waiter picked up a tissue in disgust and wiped his face several times, and then his previous respectful attitude changed instantly. An extremely unhappy reply. That's right, it's just $1. Do you love the other private rooms? Nanovich took a few steps back in fright, and Jo-jun was afraid that she would fall, so he stepped forward to help her. She turned her head to look at Jo-jun. Mata, he hasn't started to show off Jo-jun to Susan Ran yet. How did you lose such a big face before this? No, Nanovich said he was a little unwilling. Then he began to comfort himself with the loss of face. If you lose face, you will lose face. What's so strange, who hasn't lost face once in this life? And it's a big deal to lose a private room, this is nothing. Fortunately, even if someone books this private room at a high price, it has nothing to do with Susan Ran. Besides, it's a big deal to lose a private room, and this is nothing. A person's abilities can be big and small. Although I didn't win this private room in the end, I shouted the price to a whole dime of soft sister coins. So in fact, in front of Susan Ran, no matter how you look at yourself, you are still slightly better than her. After a messy self-soothing meal, Nanovich suddenly straightened her back and acted as if nothing had happened. Continue to say with an arrogant face. Everyone's abilities are limited, and I won't fight with that mysterious gentleman. Maybe someone else really needs this private room. What is important to raise the price so high? Let's go to the other private rooms to eat. Today you will not be blessed to enjoy this good private room I originally wanted to bring you, sisters in Ran. And Susan Ran didn't pay attention to Nanovich, but a sweet smile appeared on her face. Because she knows. $1. Who else dares to make such a bold move? No, it should be said that who else can there be besides Li Yi? And Li Yan hasn't come forward until now, so it must be him. Sure enough, the important big names were the last to appear and then crush the audience. When the waiter was taking Nanovich to the other private rooms, Li Yan walked into the restaurant. Hello sir, are you going to have a meal or are you looking for someone? What is your last name? Seeing the handsome pot Li Yin, the waiter stepped forward and smashed all the crackling questions at Li Yin. just to be able to talk to Li Yan more. Li Yi said that he was a little speechless, and asked so many questions at the same time. How can I answer? Li. Then Li Yan reported his surname. The front desk attendant who was giving directions to Nanovic heard it and hurriedly put down everything he was doing. Hurriedly ran towards Li Yan. Then he said excitedly, "Hello, sir, are you the one who paid $1 to book a good private room?" Li Yan nodded slightly. Price depreciation, Green Tea Girlfriend begs for forgiveness. Author, Light and Agile. Chapter 48. Nanovic is also very curious about what the person who has been raising prices with him looks like. At first she was a little confused. The waitress who was giving her directions suddenly ran back. I didn't understand until I heard the conversation between the two in the direction where the waiter was running. It turned out that the big man came. No wonder, let's just say, how can the waiter's service attitude of this high-end restaurant be like this? When she saw that the mysterious person who was raising the price with her behind her back turned out to be a man who was more than 8 feet tall and more handsome than Jo Jun. It was as if there was a towering mountain of gold and silver in front of him, and suddenly his eyes lit up. At this moment, she suddenly began to fantasize if the handsome and golden man in front of her was her boyfriend. How envious Susan Rand should be. He must live in this city in the future, and then take him to show off in front of Susan Rand every day. But obviously, this kind of thing can only be imagined. At this time, when Susan Rand saw Li Yin, she was also deeply attracted by his extraordinarily handsome dress today. I saw that he was wearing a black coat on his upper body, which was wide open, revealing the brown casual clothes inside, and the clothes were flying. The lower body is black trousers, clean and straight. The body is slender, and the broken hair is scattered on the forehead. Paired with a pair of eye-catching small leather shoes, it is majestic and radiant, and it is very handsome. Vicky. Vicky. Seeing his girlfriend staring at other men with straight eyes, Jo Jun said that he was a little unhappy. It was the first time that Vinovic had looked at another man in this way. And it's more affectionate than when I first looked at him. Called twice, but Nanovic did not reply. Jo Jun walked up to her and blocked her view with his broad shoulders. That's when Nanovic reacted. What's wrong? Jo Jun immediately rolled his eyes. What's the matter? I'm a big handsome guy here, and you're showing me the other men. Jo Jun turned his head to look at Li Yan behind him and continued. Am I handsome? Nanovic, how can you be handsome? You are the most handsome. She replied with a forced smile. I thought, doesn't the Zhou army of Timo have self-knowledge? It's obviously several times more handsome than him, okay. There's no way she's going to answer no, isn't that a slap in the face on the spot? Isn't it saying that her own eyes are not good? And if it weren't for the fact that he couldn't get this person who was better than Jo Jun, who would still be here to deal with him? So for now, she won't abandon Jo Jun. Although Jo Jun is not as good as Li Yan, compared with Susan Ran, she feels that Susan Ran can't find someone better than Jo Jun even if she lights the lantern. But at this time, Nanovic suddenly came up with a new idea. I can't even get that handsome and golden man, so I should be able to make a friend. Seeing that he made such an extraordinary move today, you know that he must be a big level figure. If she can make friends with him, Susan Ran can't envy that there is such a big person by her side. Why not? Then Nanovic ignored Jo Jun's opposition and walked towards Li Yi with a smile. Hello, my name is Nanovic, can I make a friend? When Susan Ran saw that Nanovic was greeting Li Yan, the obsessive look on Li Yan was immediately retracted. His eyes looked at Nanovic viciously. This guy, shouldn't he have hit Li Yan with his idea? Susan Ran hurriedly rushed forward to prepare to show her image as a hostess. Honey, why did you arrive so late? As he spoke, he stretched out his hands to hold Li Yan's arm. Li Yi, who hadn't had time to reply to Nanovic's words, was suddenly taken aback when he saw Susan Ran's abnormal behavior. The goosebumps that had been hibernating all over my body were rising. This made him feel a little awkward, and instinctively pushed Susan Ran's hands away that were holding his arms. Susan Ran was embarrassed at this time. Did Li Yan forget to ask him for help with his one-day fake boyfriend today? Nanovich on the side was suddenly startled when she heard Susan Ran call Li Yan so intimately and behaved so intimately. She was a little confused. How could Susan Ran know such a big person, and the relationship was not ordinary? Later, after seeing all Li Yan's reactions, she dispelled that terrifying thought. There was an ugly face on his face that was ready to laugh at Susan Ran at any time. Susan Ran, are you necessary? People who don't even have a boyfriend, now in order to be able to compare with me, dare to stand up and hook up with this handsome and rich man? No one knows you, and you are so intimate, are you ashamed? If it were me, I should have found a crack in the ground to turn it in, ha ha ha. Nanovich looked at Susan Ran with a look of contempt. Then he began to mock recklessly. However, Li Yan has not forgotten the purpose of his coming here today. The reason why he broke free of Susan Ran's hand was because the sudden closeness made him unacceptable for a while, and he didn't react. At first, when Nanovich stepped forward to greet Li Yi, he didn't know who the beautiful woman in front of him was. I didn't know until now after seeing Nanovich's performance. It turned out that she was a college classmate who always liked to go toe for tat with Susan Ran. After pushing away Susan Ran's hand, Li Yan immediately held Susan Ran's little hand in front of Nanovich, and his fingers were interlocked. Thinking about the introduction that Nanovich introduced to himself just now, he hasn't returned yet. He smiled and replied to Nanovich. Hello, my name is Li Yan, Susan Ran's boyfriend. Dragon Boat Festival book discount, charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. To rush immediately, event period, June 22nd to June 24th. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Price depreciation, Green Tea Girlfriend begs for forgiveness. Author, Light and Agile. Chapter 49. After the introduction, Li Yan held his hand tightly interlocked with Susan Ran in front of Nanovich. The corners of Nanovich's mouth, which had been smug just now, were twitching at the moment. There was clearly a big question mark on his face. I 1/4 ye 1/4 ye 1/4 why? The sudden change in style makes people feel like they were tortured in ancient times. When Susan Ran grabbed Li Yan's arm just now, didn't he break free with extreme reluctance? Now, do you feel uncomfortable holding your arms? A comfortable way to hold hands? She couldn't believe what she was seeing. How could Susan Ran have a boyfriend? If you have a boyfriend, forget it, it's more handsome than Jo Jun? Even if you are more handsome than Jo Jun, you are richer and better than Jo Jun. The stomach that was already hungry and growling, but now that I have eaten such a large handful of sweet dog food, the hunger pangs disappear in a flash. And Jo Jun just watched all this silently from the sidelines. As Nanovich's boyfriend, he knows very well and understands that the reason why Nanovich brought him to see Susan Ran today is just to show off. He didn't think he was so good, and he knew that there were people outside the world, and there was a sky outside the sky. Nanovich's ability to show off is a bad habit. This is good, stealing chickens is not a success, but it will be eroded. No one is to blame for being slapped in the face. On the other side, Susan Ran saw Li Yan's powerful boyfriends. It felt as if there was a cupid beside her, holding a sword of love, stabbing deep into her heart one by one. She looked at Li Yan and felt that Li Yan today was extremely handsome and domineering, and also extremely gentle. I'm like a little bee in a honey jar. I was happily tasting the sweet taste of the honey jar. In the end, Susan Ran set her eyes on Li Yan's hand held high. Looked at her hand with Li Yan's fingers interlocked. She didn't even realize now that Li Yan's hands were so good looking, long and thin. She was envious of a girl. She thought about it before she came. At most, she stepped forward to hold Li Yan's arm. After all, it's acting, so you have to act it really. But she never imagined that there would be intimate contact in addition to holding arms. And it was Li Yan who took the initiative. Just hugged her hand to sleep every day, as if Li Yan was by his side and held his hand to sleep. What are you doing stupidly, aren't you hungry? Seeing that everyone was looking at him stupidly, Li Yan was a little speechless. Aren't they hungry? Anyway, I'm already hungry, and my chest is pressed against my back. After speaking, Li Yan took Su Xinran's hand, was led by the waiter, and then entered the high-end private room. Su Xinran stared at the little hand held by Li Yan so stupidly. Then he followed Li Yan's steps and entered the private room. On the other hand, Nanovic said that the dog food was really a bit of a stomach. Originally thought that he was fully prepared to show off Zhou Jun with Su Xinran. Who knew that a top person would come out halfway, Li Yi? What kind of face does she have to go in and eat? Turned around and planned to escape from this embarrassing scene that was about to be deducted from the 3-room and 1-room scene. Although she really wanted to see how luxurious that good top private room really was. Caused Li Yan to spend a sky-high price to book. But she really didn't have the face to go in. When Zhou Jun saw Nanovich leaving, he also left after him. Superior on the inside of the private room. Li Yi motioned for Su Xinran to let go of her little hand that was holding him tightly. Nanovich, they are gone. But Su Xinran grabbed it tighter. You've agreed to be my boyfriend for a day, and the day hasn't ended. So, you're still my boyfriend? Su Xinran said with a smile. Li Yan said that he was a little helpless. This woman. Yikes. It's not typical to pick up cheap and sell well. Then you'll have to let me eat with my hands free. Li Yan replied helplessly. Then Su Xinran smiled and embarrassedly let go of her clenched hand. However, she was a little curious, why did Li Yan spend such a high price of 1 yuan just to book a private room? However, Li Yan said that this was not because he wanted to show off his wealth. Rather, I used a dime to book at the beginning. And that hair was accidentally found under the table in the old house before. It's useless to keep a dime coin. I thought about using it for booking a private room. But who knows that Nanovich raised the price by a dime later. There is no way, the smallest one on his body is only 1 piece. He also wants to keep a low profile, but his strength doesn't allow it. After Li Yan told Su Xinran the reason for the incident. Su Xinran said that he didn't want to talk to him, a big tyrant. Well, the smallest one is only 1 piece. $1 is enough to charter a week's worth of a restaurant in this restaurant. Fortunately, this restaurant is among the top among all the restaurants in China. Otherwise, other people's bosses still think that Li Yan is not here to eat, but to smash the field and buy the restaurant. Dragon Boat Festival book discount, charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. To rush immediately, event period, June 22nd to June 24th. Price depreciation, green tea girlfriend begs for forgiveness. Author, Light and Agile. Chapter 50. After the two of them finished dinner, Su Xinran and Li Yan came out of the restaurant. Li Yan felt a little strange. Where are the Ferrari drivers? It's normal to do it, and the driver always shows up in front of them on time every time they finish eating or running errands. So as to wait to meet them. There have never been accidents. But today it is long gone. The Ferrari supercar vanished along with its driver. Where's your driver? Li Yan asked Su Xinran curiously. Su Xinran stepped forward and looked around, left and right. I feel strange, too. The driver didn't ask her for leave today. Why didn't I see anyone? It's impossible to run away in a Ferrari. But it's impossible. Since she became an adult, this driver and the Ferrari luxury car have been a birthday present from her father. Over the years, according to what she knows about this driver, the driver is not the kind of person with bad intentions. So it's definitely not because of greed for money and then kidnapping a Ferrari luxury car. And the salary and treatment for drivers at home are very generous. Although Ferrari luxury cars are indeed worth a lot of money. But the driver will not be stupid enough to give up the iron job he can work for a lifetime, and this generous salary is lost because of a small loss. So Susan Ran really couldn't think of any reason why the driver didn't come to pick up and drop off on time today. Returned to Li Yan's side, spread her hands, and shook her head, indicating that she didn't know either. And Li Yan was even more speechless at this time. This Susan Ran is afraid that he will not be a fool. Wouldn't you call and ask? Harm, it's useless to look good, the key is to have a brain. Could it be that the bears really don't have brains? You don't have a driver's phone, dot. Was reminded by Li Yan like this, Susan Ran suddenly realized. Said excitedly. Yes, I didn't think of that, you're so smart. As he spoke, he made a big awesome gesture towards Li Yi. Li Yi was really speechless by Susan Ran. Then Susan Ran took out her mobile phone from her luxury bag and dialed the driver's number. Hey, why didn't you come today? On the other side of the phone, the driver did not respond. I only heard a big pant of gas that had been flustered. In fact, he was in a car accident on the way to pick up Susan Ran and Li Yan in a Ferrari luxury car today. But the good thing is that the others are fine, but they are not lightly frightened. There is also Susan Ran's Ferrari luxury car that was hit to pieces. Was already scared half to death because of an accidental car accident, and now a sky-high Ferrari sports car that was damaged is added. It's his full responsibility again. Although his monthly salary is very generous, he has to compensate for this, a Ferrari luxury car that is sky-high for him. Then his little salary is not enough to stuff the teeth between the teeth of the Ferrari luxury car. This is also the reason why he didn't pick up Susan Ran on time today. Because he was afraid. Now Susan Ran's sudden call made him even more flustered. Shortness of breath and too scared to speak. But I thought about it again. No matter who Susan Ran's family is, they are very good to him, and he couldn't even afford shorts when he was poor. Fortunately, Susan Ran's father is a good person, so he arranged this job for him. Hired him as Susan Ran's exclusive driver. So now that something happens, you can't just ignore it like this, and then run away. Finally, he took a deep breath, and then said to Susan Ran tremblingly on the phone. Big Miss. Sorry for the car accident, your Ferrari luxury car. Probably scrapped. As he spoke, the driver choked up with a little crying. And when Susan Ran heard the news, the whole person began to worry. Hurriedly asked the driver if he was okay. After making sure that there is nothing wrong with the driver's safety. The stone she was hanging from also fell smoothly to the ground. Leo, it's okay, the car doesn't matter. Seeing that she was so abnormal, Li Yan stepped forward to ask what was going on. After Susan Ran informed Li Yan of what happened, Li Yan also took a deep breath. Luckily, people are okay. If the car is gone, you can buy it again, but you only have one life, and if you lose it, you can't buy it back no matter how much money you use. Then the driver continued. Miss, don't worry, I will definitely compensate you for your Ferrari. It's just that. In time. After speaking, the driver cried directly. Susan Ran was surprised. For so many years, no matter how big the driver encountered, he would not shed a single tear. Is a very strong person. But today it was. Because of a sports car. Then she hurriedly replied. You don't have to pay for the car. But now I don't have a car, so I can't hire you as a driver and pay you a salary for the time being. Why don't you go home and rest for a while? Hearing Susan Rand say this, the driver didn't say a word more. After all, he really can't afford to lose the Ferrari luxury car. I can't afford to lose it for the rest of my life. I just felt very ashamed of Susan Rand in my heart. So I secretly swore that in the future, if Susan Rand needed his help with anything, he would do his best to help. Just as the driver was about to hang up the phone, Susan Rand suddenly had a photo that was important to her in her mind. Even more important than Ferrari luxury cars, more than all luxury goods. Wait, where is the car now? Susan Rand hurriedly stopped the driver who was about to hang up the phone and said very seriously. The driver told her the exact location of the scrapped Ferrari. Susan Rand rushed to the scene of the incident in a panic. No matter what, she must find the photo today. Dragon Boat Festival book discount, charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. To rush immediately, event period, June 22nd to June 24th.